Found Us. More podcast, where we want you to know God more deeply, find lasting freedom, discover your destiny and make an eternal difference. Now.
Well, here we are. It's in October. We're here in October. Yeah. It's a good week. Apparently now the government is shut down. So this is day one of the government shutdown.
Yeah.
Free for all, anarchy reigns.
That's right. Let's take over. Everything is open and available to whatever you want to do now. You can take over the government. You can do whatever you want. I think it's kind of interesting. I don't know when they're going to come to a conclusion. I guess the last time we were shut down for 34 days. So let's see what happens with this time.
Yeah. Didn't Michigan, though, we figured it out in Michigan, right?
Yeah, we did.
They
kept going. We made it happen. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens with that. But right now, if you work in the armed forces, you're not getting a paycheck. You're
that's no good.
Getting some sort of check from the government for food or whatever, you're not getting that. Yeah. So there you go. Wonderful day.
Peach, you're a resident hunter.
Yes.
Wasn't there a lot of concern about if the state of Michigan closes before people buy their hunting licenses? Was that a thing you heard? I feel like I heard that.
Oh, then you couldn't go hunting.
You couldn't buy a license because the state was shut down. So make sure to get your license before the shutdown. But they didn't shut down, so this is all hypothetical anyway.
Right. I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And
or get a deer before anybody finds you. Do it at nighttime and then.
Well, okay. All right.
That's known as UP hunting.
That's what you do, yeah. Oh, I hit it with my car. Mm-hmm. Didn't you see me hit it with my car? Okay. Well, do you wonder why you're here and you listen to the MORE podcast? I'll tell you why. MORE stands for maximizing opportunities for right now and for eternity. So stop asking why you listen. Just never forget to listen and pass it on. And this is one thing that's not shut down.
Yeah. We're kind of back, guys. Kind of like all the way back. Did we take 2, 3, 4 weeks?
About 4 weeks, yeah. Was it about 4 weeks?
The big move.
Yeah.
I missed. It probably feels like 4 weeks for me. I had a dentist appointment last week. The dentist told me that he said...
Your dad.
Yeah,
it's
not my dad.
Oh, it's not your dad?
No, it's not.
Oh.
He's 80-something.
Okay.
He doesn't need hands and anyone's mouths right now.
Shaking.
You'd be the first one to admit that. The dentist said to me, he's like, true dentist kid's teeth. If everybody's teeth were like yours, I'd be out of business.
Wow.
And then I felt really good about myself. But then my hygienist was like, hey, you got to wear your bite splint because there's a lot of recession there. So I was like, okay, this is good cop, bad cop here.
Right.
This is what they're doing.
Okay.
The dentist just gets to come in and pat you on the back. And the hygienist is like, yeah, you got work to do, buddy.
I was just picturing your dad with an instrument and he's shaking and he's playing ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
It makes you a little nervous. I don't know. I went to one dentist that we had in Indiana one time, and this guy comes in there, and he had these glasses on, and they look like they're Coke bottle lenses. Yeah. And I'm like, dude. I'm like, this is making me nervous. And then the hygienist comes in. She goes, "Oh, he does that to everybody the first time to joke around with him." Yeah, and he took him off. Yeah,
joke.
There's a guy that I know that had to go in and have like his appendix removed or something like that, and that he knew the doctor really good, and so he wrote on his own belly, "Don't cut below this line." And so when the doctor, gets ready to do surgery, he sees all of that, and then when the guy comes to and wakes up in the recovery room, he had bandaged up his entire private area.
That's a bad day right there.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Things to think about when you go in for any of that stuff. They do that though. I didn't know they did that, but when they go into doctors, like surgery now, they actually write on whatever they got to work on, so that the doctor doesn't make a mistake. And I'm like, do you have to do that? I mean, you're getting paid how much to do this job, and you got to remind yourself what leg or I don't know.
Yeah, well, you got to tell people your birthday and make sure all that stuff
all the time.
It's actually you,
right? Mm-hmm.
All the time. Those rules are there for a reason,
right?
That
somebody did it.
At some point, somebody got surgery they didn't need.
We amputated the wrong leg. Sorry, we'll take the other one now. It's good. We'll work on that one.
A little preemptive surgery.
Well, we have a sponsor. We have a continuing sponsor. We highlight here. I don't know about you guys, but I like a good pair of socks. I love when I have a good pair of socks. And we have been so blessed here from the Bombas company. They have blessed us with so many great socks that we give away. It's one of those pairs of socks that whenever you buy one, they give it to somebody that is in need. And so Bombas has been helping us for a couple of years now. I just found out we've been with them since 2022.
Wow.
So we've been with them for a while. And they have been giving us socks to give away to those that are less fortunate. So far, we've given away over 70,000 pairs of socks through Harbor Light.
That's amazing.
Benevolence and care, and with all the agencies we work for. We actually work with 14 different agencies that we help with. The reason why I know that is because I just had to fill out the paperwork for this year. I put in for 50,000 pairs this year.
Okay.
And also underwear and T-shirts. So I'm hoping that we get those. I don't
want
know.
to really score on those two.
I know. I'm really hoping that we get
sweet.
those because they look nice. I mean,
Do they?
Yeah.
Are they black?
They have them in white and black. So it's
It'd be
like
funny if it was just
roulette,
black,
Right.
It's
Right.
like your whole outfit.
It's all black. Yeah.
I promise you, I mean, maybe I shouldn't say this out loud, but I don't wear a pair of socks that isn't Bombas.
I know. I hear you.
100%.
They're all black.
They asked me this year if we would be willing to take white socks. So we might get some white Bombas. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. So yeah, Bombas been helping us to help those in our community that need it for about 3 years now, and we've given over 70,000 pairs of socks. So when you're ready for your next pair of socks, head over to Bombas.com.
Yeah.
Not only will you get some of the most comfortable socks out there, but each pair that you buy will help someone else that's in need. So Bombas.com.
It's so cool too, because I know we've said this before on the podcast, but a large part of Harbor Light's ministry is to recovery communities and be able to just bless those guys as they come in and
And it does.
Yeah, you may not have your bag packed properly, and so nothing like a new pair of socks.
Well, that's what they asked me to share a story, and I'm like, one of the great stories I see is when I give somebody a pair of Bombas socks just to see their face. Like, you think it's just a pair of socks.
Yeah.
But that sense of
good pair of socks.
But that sense of comfort when you're like living on the street, or you've been, without good clothes for a while, to put on a pair of nice brand new socks is just an amazing thing to have happen.
They're not Kmart specials either.
They're not.
They're good socks.
I have a pair on today.
Me too.
Yeah. I'm sure all of us around the table have a pair of Bombas on right now. Yeah. So they're good for us. And, it's just funny because, they really don't wear out very easy. You have to put them through a lot before they... the biggest problem I have is making sure that I have the right size with the right size. So I get extra large and large. And you have to look inside the lip to find out what size it is. Yeah. And so sometimes I pull one up and it goes past my knee and the other one's like past my ankle. So you got to make sure you do that. But anyways, go and support Bombas.com. It's worth every penny that you spend to help those in need. We're going to take an ID break. Come right back with introductions.
Your day is about to get better. How do we know? Because you press play on the More podcast. You're welcome. We will be right back.
Well, around the table here, we got a nice little podcast table now.
Yeah, we do.
You can't see it on, because we're not on streaming yet, but
we're getting there, though.
We kind of changed the whole setup, whereas before we were in chairs, sitting, looking at each other. Now we have what's called an official podcast table.
Really?
Yeah, this is actually bought by a company called Podcast Furniture. And so this is a podcast table. And then, of course, we have all of our new...
I was going to say it is very organized well.
Yeah.
Like you have the cords in the right space. So these would pop out, I imagine.
Yeah, these would pop out. But they said that each one of these wedges is big enough for one personality on the podcast. That's why they create it like this. But they do create other tables. But I thought this would be nice because then when we're looking around, we can look at each other when we're talking and have a conversation. Great. Yeah. Well, he spends half the week calling plays under Friday night lights and the other half leading worship under Sunday morning lights. 1 minute he's shouting, "Run the sweep," and the next, "Sing it from your soul." The only confusion is when the worship team isn't sure if "Take it from the top" means verse 1 or a Hail Mary.
That's right.
Pastor Ted, here you are.
That's great.
Yeah, there he
That's
is.
good.
You did good on that.
There you go.
Kind of true, too. But
Yeah, it is. I tried.
well, hey, legend has it, he didn't feel the call in a church. He heard it on a golf course.
Yes.
After slicing 3 balls into the woods and accidentally baptizing his last one in a water hazard, he looked up to heaven and said, "Lord, if you can use me better than I use these clubs, I am yours." From that moment on, he traded his 9-iron for a pulpit, and he's been aiming for the green of grace ever since.
The green of
Pastor Gary. That is
green
really
of
good.
grace. That's
That
good.
is the
There are
green
two.
of grace.
There are two
Good job,
descriptors
Pastor
you
Alex.
use when you hit a water shot like that. If it skips across the top and makes it to the other side, that's a Jesus ball.
Okay.
If it skips across and then sinks, that's a Peter ball. So yeah,
I love it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so of course the man with all of the talent knows where every button and knob goes through, and actually is a designer of podcast furniture.
Yeah.
Yes.
A man who can knock off your imaginary friends. He can hear. He can hear sign language, and has actually strangled someone with a cordless phone. Pastor Alex Norton.
I love that one. Hear
That's
sign
good.
language. That's a good one. That's the good. I can hear sign language. It's a gift. So that's who's around the table, and I think eventually we're going to get Pastor Hunter in here too. He's going to come in and get on the podcast, because I have one in the holster here for him at some point when he gets in
I
there.
just saw him across the street, and he kind of had that lonely puppy look. You know, like,
What do I
can
do?
I follow you over there?
Yeah, just come here and sit here. We have a
Come
mic,
on, man.
We have a mic ready for him.
I know, that'd be
ready
great.
to go. And at some point he'll be in here. We're gonna take a break, come back with some some things that maybe we've noticed this week, and just bring them up.
Live from an undisclosed location somewhere under the church fellowship hall, possibly near the coffee pod, it's Gary, Ted, and Alex with more podcasts. Stay tuned for more.
It's kind of interesting. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. I guess last week a bear encounter happened in Simsbury, Connecticut, where an actual bear broke into a house.
Terrifying.
And the only person that was in the home was a 17-year-old girl.
Oh, boy.
She thought it was an intruder breaking into the house, and it was a bear. Broke in the house, started going through the cabinets, actually opened up the refrigerator and started digging through that. She didn't know what to do because she's never seen a bear face-to-face. So she calls 911 to get somebody there to help her, but eventually they scared the bear off. But the bear, they think the bear got in there through breaking through a window,
Okay.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, they're pretty big. I mean,
Right, but it
push the window.
is wanting to come in.
Yeah.
What do you do?
What would you? I mean,
what do you do?
How do you stop a bear?
A bear comes into your home, Pastor Gary.
Right.
What's the protocol?
Yeah,
we're
right.
like,
Yeah,
we
that's
have
what
many,
you're gonna
we have
do,
many
yeah.
firearms.
Yeah.
Okay, outside of that, what do we need to do?
Banging pots and pans and screaming super
Is
loud.
that okay?
Yeah, it will
Yeah.
You
scare-
want to
it-
be loud.
Yeah, it's a black bear. That's what you do.
Okay.
You want to scare it off, make it to seem like you're bigger than that is. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know. It
You
freaked
pull
me
like
out.
the Anchorman move of like,
Yeah.
oh no, they're coming through the back door. Screaming.
Well, I'm just imagining a 17-year-old girl. I mean, I'm not disparaging women in general, but I
that
mean,
might
it'd
be
be kind of
traumatizing for the
Yeah.
rest of your life, man.
You got a 17-year-old girl dealing with I mean, I don't know how big the bear was. 'Cause
Hanging
It doesn't
out
say.
Doesn't
but
matter.
in your house.
Yeah.
It does not matter.
Yeah.
matter.
Could be a cub.
That's a lot. You know what's funny is I'm getting a lot of that in my algorithm right now. Is like people who are like in the Smoky Mountains at a log cabin.
Oh, yeah,
Here
yeah.
comes the bear inside the privacy gate, and then here's Uncle Jim who's like, "Hey, get out of here, bear!" And everybody's like, "Jim,
Yeah.
get away from the bear!" And he's a-okay. Jim's like having a good time and trying to pet him and stuff.
Did you ever notice though, like those like TikTok videos where the dog is there and
Yeah.
the dog just kind of looks at it
Yes.
like, "What do you want me to do with it? I don't know." And they're just like walking around the bear.
Have you
like,
seen the
come
one?
on.
Yeah, the guy has a literal bobcat in his house, and the dog's eyes are like so wide.
It's like, what do you want me to
It's
do
a bobcat.
with this bear? Yeah, I don't know. My dogs, my husky would run and hide, and
Yeah.
then my other hound dog would probably just be barking at it the whole time. She gets like these real deep guttural
Yeah,
barks.
I think
but that's about it. That's all
would
she
get
does.
rid of 'em.
I
Your
think she
dog
would scare
do
it
that,
off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
My dogs would bark.
She scares
Yours don't,
people.
but-
Like people are running, and she's on an electric fence, so
Okay.
people are running by her house, and she'll just stand there and bark at them. And she's never done any more than that,
Yeah.
just making a lot of noise. And the people are like, "Oh, she's so cute." I'm like, "Do you not hear her barking
Yeah,
at you
right.
right now? Go, keep going." Here's the one that happened this week. This was tough to watch. Tyreek Hill of the
yeah.
Dolphins dislocated his knee, tore multiple ligaments in Monday's game against the Jets, 27-21. I don't know if you watched the slow motion
Yeah, it's
video,
not
but the
good.
guy's leg actually went the wrong way.
it's
Yeah,
gross.
and I'm like, and he's I don't know what they gave him, right? Because the moment that he's down on the ground, right, and you can tell he's in pain. But then when they put him on the cart, the guy's smiling and laughing and having a good time. I'm like, they must have gave him something by that point because there's no way that you can do that to your leg.
Oh boy,
and like be happy like that. Something else is going on there. But
is he the fastest guy in the NFL?
Yeah, he was.
Right,
he was.
This
and he beat out Williams.
Bad.
Williams is the second fastest in the Lions.
Yeah,
and Tyreek is the number one right now this season so far. And he's out. So Williams is number one.
Back from
yeah.
He's little.
Well, he's going to be out.
He needs to be fast
for the rest of the season. They said between therapy and surgery.
Oh yeah,
he's going to be out.
I believe it. The thing that I wonder about is, do you ever fully come back from something like that? And I think those guys are nuts athletes, so they know how to train and take care of their bodies. And obviously, if there's some millions of dollars contract hanging over his head in the future, then you work hard to do it. But it was gruesome.
I looked that up though. Did you realize that if you are an NFL player and you get hurt on the field, right, in your position, like you're doing something and you get hurt, that you actually can make up most of your wages through the insurance policy that you have on yourself.
Yeah, I believe that.
So he is not like out of money.
Sure.
Like he's going to be getting paid.
Contract, you sign that. That's it. It is what it is. I just wonder if it's like, because he's kind of getting older. So if he's like, man, if I could get one more contract, maybe this doesn't do it. But again, if you got $20 million hanging over your head, you're like, well, let's just try really hard to get back out there.
Well, on the other side of that ball, Aaron Jones, the coach of the Jets, right?
Yeah.
He's they're talking about letting him go.
The head coach?
Yeah.
Is the guy who was the
Lions coordinator
already?
Yeah. Well, because his season so far, his stats look really bad.
0-4.
Yeah, his stats look really super bad. And that game, I don't know if you watched the Jets, they had 11.
It's not good.
11 pre-snap penalties.
It's not good.
Within that first half.
Yeah, it's not good.
So they're saying that there might be canning him.
That'd be.
So he might be coming back to the Lions.
Well,
he might be getting picked back up.
We don't want you. We're good. Shep's doing great.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens on that one. I don't know. So so that's what happened with Tyreek Hill. And then this is interesting. This is actually kind of sad, and we talked about this before. And our prayers go out to the people that are involved. Grand Blanc, Michigan. We had a Mormon church, that was attacked by he wasn't a congregant, but apparently he was associated with the church at some point. And then they lit the church on fire.
That's crazy.
4 people so far are said to have passed away. So we definitely need to lift up this church in prayer and pray for these families that are involved. But just a terrible thing that happened there. Just makes you think, right?
Yeah.
The enemy's out there to steal, kill, and destroy, and he definitely will do anything he can.
Good encouragement for our podcast listeners to be praying.
Yeah, be praying for them. I mean, regardless of what they believe and how they believe it,
it's tragedy.
These are humans. This is tragedy, and we definitely need to pray for them. So, lift them up in the week. Be praying for them. But it's hard when it's right here in your home state.
Sure.
Yeah, you can kind of say, well, that's way over there. It's in one of those states, but that's just not too far from us. Grand Blanc is not too far from us.
It is not.
Well, we're going to take an ID break, come right back, and then I know we got some fantasy football stuff that we need to bring up. Yeah, and I've been waiting to play the fantasy football background music for Ted for a while, so we'll be right back.
It'll be good.
Binge the More podcast. It's calorie-free, sugar-free, and yet somehow still leaves you spiritually stuffed. So, get your stretchy pants on because we have more.
Now from ESPN, we have Ted coming here on Fantasy Football Breakdown.
Well, hey, more podcast listeners. We have your Fantasy Football Corner update here for you today.
Don't mention mine.
The Harbor Light Sunday Funday League is well underway. We're 4 weeks in, and our standings are as stands right now. James Walker with the Jesus Jukes is 4-0.
Really? 4-0.
James Walker, 4-0. He's doing really well.
His roster is the top of the line.
You know what's funny too?
What's his secret?
It's good drafting because he didn't take a quarterback early. All the stuff that you do, he's really good. And then a 3-way tie, we have inconceivable John Walker, which is inconceivable because I think the first week he left a guy off his roster.
Yeah.
And we've got to figure out that for Pastor Alex here too. The 3-way tie is also with AJ, the Holy Rollers, and myself, Clear Eyes, Full Hearts.
And Alex is at the bottom.
And we do have one other guy at the bottom, though, there, Pastor.
Oh, do we really?
Yeah, James is holding up the fort. He
Okay.
hasn't won a game yet. I don't know if he is checking the app or not.
Yeah, right.
I think he may not be. So, James, come hang out with me on Sunday. I'll help you out, buddy. We like to have competitive leagues. And it's the top half's good. The bottom half is real bad, boys. So let's get it together here, Theo and Alex and Neil and James. Let's get one on the board for the win column here. So.
I have one win.
Yeah, who'd you beat?
I don't remember, but I have one win.
Yeah,
and I have the rest are losses. So yeah. But I'm doing better.
So you guys are first year players, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So have you found yourself watching football differently now that you're playing?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Explain that.
Well, I had a 99% chance of winning with 1 minute and 47 seconds to go in the game, in the Lions game.
Yeah.
Now, I'm never going to cheer against the Lions.
Right,
Ever,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But all they have to do is take a knee.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I win.
David Montgomery.
And they hand the ball to Montgomery, and he
scored.
romples in there for a touchdown. I lose. I was 1 minute 47 seconds away
You're
with
like,
a
why,
99% chance of winning.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, the swing was that high, huh?
Yeah, and then
I was upset.
Yes.
you're like, in probably Lisa's case, like, why are you upset with the Lions?
Then-
I mean, they did.
then-
Don't score.
Then the next week, I'm playing, and every one of my players, except for the quarterback, I think, underperformed massively.
Yeah.
And I had the Green Bay Packers for my defense. I got -5
Yeah, that's
points.
not good. No, I don't want that. Don't want that.
I am upset.
Yeah.
Pete, you're right there though. You're 2-2.
I know.
See,
You're
that's
2
not
and 2.
bad.
You're game out. I think what's fun is that our league is competitive in the sense of there isn't it isn't James sitting at top and the rest of us just eking out 1 or 2 wins. So we'll get there.
So my whole football viewing has changed drastically.
Yeah.
I watch all the games.
I do. It is the best
Anyways,
thing to do.
Yeah.
After a long day at church to come home and just it is great.
Well, on the NFL app, I don't know if anybody knows this, but you can watch the entire game in 15 minutes because they give you like every snap without the commercials.
Right.
So I just blow through all those, and I'm like just catching all the really good plays and stuff. So
I will say I had something going on after church on Sunday, and I was super excited to watch the Lions get a nice, easy, non-stressful win against the Browns. And I was like, I'm gonna miss. I'm like, you know what? I'm shutting my phone off. It's the first time my phone has been powered off.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do that
And I
every
was like,
Sunday.
I'm shutting this off, and I'm not turning the radio on, and we're not going to any restaurants with TV. I'm gonna go home.
Well, no, don't put me
and
by the
it's
TV.
great because you get to fast forward everything. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
right?
I like that.
There's no talking to your friends about how well your team's doing or not doing, but it was okay.
Except in my small group when they play at 1.
Yep.
They are
Can't
always
do it.
like, "Did you
Nope.
hear what
Nope.
happened?" No,
Don't talk to me.
Shh.
Yes.
We're talking about Jesus, not the game.
That's right.
Yeah. We're going to take a 90 break, come back with Harbor Life Bible Trivia. Pastor Gary's got the answers for last week and a new question this week.
Long ago, in a church office not so far away, 3 men armed only with Bibles, microphones, and a questionable amount of coffee set out on a mission to make you laugh, make you think, and occasionally make you say, wait, was that even in the Bible? First, there was Gary, part pastor, part dad joke machine, and part mystery. Mostly because no one knows where he keeps finding those golf shirts. Then Ted, man of faith, man of wisdom, and man who once tried to fix the church copier with duct tape and a worship CD. And finally, Alex, he's the glue that holds it all together, mainly because he's the only one who actually knows how to work the record button. Together, they are the More Podcast, because sometimes a sermon just isn't enough. You need more.
Well, here we are with Bible trivia. Last week, the question was,
I have no idea.
wasn't it the two guys who?
Yeah. Who died first?
Yeah, who died first?
And it was it was the man Ananias died first.
And then Sapphira was next. She died.
Okay.
So that's the answer for last week. And then I don't really know how that was tied to,
I have no idea either.
but that's the answer.
Well, they lied about giving.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. That's about generosity, giving.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we got it. Okay.
Okay. That was 168 hours ago.
Don't do
sorry.
that.
Okay.
Don't lie and don't, yeah, there you go.
All right, but I do have a question for this weekend.
All right, let's go for it.
And the question for this weekend is, in the Bible, besides Jesus, who is the most humble person in the Bible?
Ooh. Humble. And it's actually, is it say it in there?
It does say I gave a hint away. He is the most humble person.
Oh, I like that.
I don't know this.
I'm drawing a blank myself. So I'm going to find out it.
Old or New Testament?
I'll give you Old Testament.
Okay.
Oh, that just didn't narrow down for me at all.
Does humility come with wisdom, maybe?
I don't know. This is good.
Okay.
We'll find out afterwards because he'll tell us. Just can't say it now live on there.
Yep.
All right, so if you know the answer to that, you just got to send it to heartblightbibletrivia@gmail.com, all lowercase, heartblightbibletrivia@gmail.com, or put it on our socials and let us know the answer if you feel gutsy enough that you have the right answer and everybody can see what you said.
All right.
It's a lot of fun. It's always good to do that. We're going to take a night break, come right back, and we'll be here with Bible Talk as we wrap up this last sermon series, Right on the Money. We'll be right back.
Your day is about to get better. How do we know? Because you press play on the More podcast. You're welcome. We will be right back.
I like that.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that.
I would not have either.
Well, we've been in a powerful series called Right on the Money, and this week's focus is all about living a legacy life. Money isn't the problem, it's how we aim it. And Jesus called it a tool to build eternal relationships. And Harbor Light has seen firsthand what generosity can do, from blessing the homeless shelter to raising over $40,000 in one dessert auction. Well, today, Pastor Gary is with us to unpack what it really means to use our resources for God's kingdom and leave behind a legacy that lasts. So let's dive into this conversation. Pastor Gary.
Yeah, thank you so much. I was actually out of this series when I put it together. This was the one I really wanted to share. And it's because as you begin to age and you start thinking about, the fact that you're drawing to the end of your career or the end of your life, you start thinking about what are people going to say about me. Of course, we had my mom's retirement party, which was a beautiful expression of our gratitude towards her. And it felt a little bit like that kind of end of life conversations. Like here's the accumulation of all the things that you've done over the past 48 years here at Harbor Light. And it was a lot of fun. I had a chance, obviously, to speak at that and kind of go through some of the things I was aware of, even as a kid growing up. My mom was our first youth leader. She taught Sunday school for all the boys, which was crazy. She didn't last very long in there. And then,
That's a big job.
worship director here at Harbor Light, and then ran the Easter cantata. So when you start going through that, and then you start thinking about all the lives that are connected to your service, it was a wonderful legacy, I think, to be able to honor her and to recognize that. In the context of money or resources and or your reputation or the love that you have shared towards others, the big idea that we started out with this weekend was that you want to begin with the end in mind.
Yeah.
So, what do you want people to say about you when you're gone? What do you want your kids to be like when you are gone? What do you want your marriage to be like near the end? Well, you don't wait till the end to put that in place. And I made a reference to some of our politicians, presidents especially. They'll kind of do their first, 3 or 7 years, depending on what they'll do that. And then right at the end, they want to do some kind of big legacy thing, and they'll make all kinds of crazy decisions that don't even line up with their policies before that. Just because they want to set their legacy. So that's not the way to do it. You want to be able to, build your legacy all along your lifetime, so that when you get to the end, you don't have to make these quick, drastic, big changes to be able to try to change people's opinion or reputation.
Yeah, that statement you said of living with the end or starting with the end in mind is such a big deal. And that's in anything.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that most of us do when we're young. We don't think about the end of our careers.
Right.
We don't think about how we're going to retire because, we're just, living on the skinny is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
You're at the front end of your career. You're working hard just to be able to pay bills or to start moving forward. And you're not thinking about the end. And then we wait many times until it's almost too late to be able to do something to change how we want the end of our life to look. And so it's important for us to connect with older people and people with more wisdom and have been around the block a couple of times and get their input so that we can put those things in place.
Yep.
I remember reading a stat one time that says if you start your career and you only put $1,000 a year away for the first 10 years, then you can ride it out the rest of the time and that money will have grown.
Yeah.
But many of us can't afford that at the front 10 years.
Right, yeah.
So it's pretty amazing. And I kind of wish I would have listened a little closer.
Yeah.
That's what I always liked about the 401k thing when I first, is it 401k? Yeah.
403B is the nonprofit version.
Yeah,
of
the 401k. Yeah. So when I was working with Lexilite, I started paying into that and that was great. I mean, if I would have still been there today, I mean, getting closer to retirement would have been great, but not anymore. But yeah, you don't think about that stuff because you don't have it, right? You got kids to raise and kids want to play sports and kids want to do this and
kids need braces.
Kids need braces. Yeah.
$400 to get a driver's license.
Right. Yeah. It's like, come on, you can't really afford to do that. And it's probably worse now. I mean, I'm glad I don't have to raise a little one now.
Yeah, they have, if you get braces today, now they have a financial department as part of the here's how you're going to pay for this.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Is that expensive?
You finance it. Yeah, well, yeah. It's thousands and thousands
Oh, my
of dollars.
gosh.
Yeah, and it's dependent on the kid and what they need.
Did you have braces? Your teeth are perfect.
Ted's got some of the best choppers.
Me up, right? So, I did. I think as pastors, we've all left a hospital room before. You gave this example, Pastor Gary, on Sunday of, the second somebody comes to the end of their life, and maybe it's grandpa or dad or whoever, and then now, brothers are pitted against each other and sisters going, actually, this is mine, and those kinds of things. I don't think there's better practical advice at the end of life than what you said for that.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that's very hard is because of the emotion that's wrapped up with someone dying. And so you feel like, well, I did this for dad at the end of life.
Right.
I was the one who was there mowing the lawn or whatever it is, and so now you feel this sense of entitlement and ownership of just, this is, I don't know, however that looks for you. But I have a quick story. One of the things that my parents' church did was they had a guy come in who made, it was sort of like a living testimony video that you would then show at the end of life.
Oh, wow. Oh, really? Right? That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yes. So, and in my naivety and my, my dad's not dying. He's going to live forever. I walked into my house and my dad's sitting there, and this was 20 years ago.
You're doing it.
Yeah. And I was like, who is this guy? And why are you talking to my dad about this?
Yeah.
And it became very, very weird, very fast. And I remember the guy having a conversation with me after the fact of like, hey, I'm sorry. And his approach needed work, right? Like, he did need some work.
He was new to the whole program.
Hey, what do you charge my parents to do this? And, it just felt a little strange, but there is something very, very helpful, not only on the financial side of, but just how do you want to live and what do you want to send your kids out on? What's the last note you want to sit out?
Yeah.
And that legacy piece can be solidified really within those end of life discussions.
When we had that conversation with my parents, taking a lot of this information that we gain as we go through our career and meeting with people who, as Pastor Ted said, literally start like finger in the face, I'm going to get such and such, or people that just show up out of the woodwork. They haven't seen them in 30 years. Now all of a sudden they're coming here for their claim. To sit and talk with my parents and say, okay, Dad, if mom goes first, what do you want?
Right. Yeah.
Mom, if dad goes first, what do you want? What happens if you both go at the same time? What happens, and you just run all these scenarios, and it seems a little bit weird, but our family, I guess, is just weird enough. We were laughing about certain things. And then, as I mentioned, I would have gotten some of my dad's funeral desires wrong.
Yeah.
And so it was really great to get clarity on that.
Yeah.
And then I shared, of course, that each of us kids had a different responsibility. And so when my dad went, in an accident, we were by the time we hit the hallway outside of his room, we knew what we were doing.
The mechanisms were in.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's what should happen, right?
We went over, grabbed a pizza, sat down as a family, and said, "Okay, this is when it's going to be. Who's going to speak? This is what we're going to do. We're going to have a financial meeting with my mom and the advisor and all that kind of stuff." It was all laid out.
I think that's a good way to do it. I mean, because any other way, and I think families a lot of times get like really caught up in the logistics of stuff. I mean, when both my parents passed, we didn't have plans in place, and they didn't have plans in place, and I became the power of attorney for both of them.
Sure,
and it was a tough job to figure out all that stuff because we didn't even know where we were going to be burying people, and so you have to work through all that stuff. So I mean, Amy and I sat down after my parents passed, and we're like, we're not doing this to our children. Right. We're going to make sure we have all the plans in place before we go. And it's probably one of the best gifts you can give to the kids, because I don't think necessarily I'm not going to be worth much now, but when I pass, with insurance and stuff, there might be some money there. But we've worked that out, and then the house and that stuff. That's good to sit down and do that with your family, and you can make it a good experience. It's like we need to talk about this stuff before it happens. You never know what's going to happen. I think it's a smart thing to do.
Did you
you guys? A lot that don't do it.
Is there resources out there that you used, PG and Alex? Pastor Alex.
Absolutely. You can get that on an individual basis. That's one of the desires I have here at Harbor Light, is to actually have a service available for people to be able to sit down.
That's
and
smart.
I'll walk you through those steps, almost kind of like the video guy, and help you put those things in place and get it all locked in, because you don't want to leave it up to the state to take care of it for you.
Because they will take what you don't allocate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a really good little phrase there. They'll take what you don't allocate.
That's right. And they do, and they will walk away with everything, if you don't have it.
And then the other thing that I didn't mention, but it's something to keep track of. So let's say your parents or your loved one has accumulated some wealth, right? And if they have to go into care, then the state can grab all of their resources and take that to pay for the care.
Yeah.
And so there are steps that you can take to make sure that the state doesn't get more than they need. Right?
Yeah.
So,
and they do.
You have to plan that out, and there's strategic ways to do it. And
And that's when you have the information, right? You have the knowledge of knowing how the government has given you loopholes for this stuff.
Right.
If you don't have it, everything will be taken.
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened. I mean, when my mom went into Bay Bluffs, I mean, that's the first thing they do is what does she have in resources? I'm like, well, she doesn't have anything. But if she did have a house and money,
they take it.
They take it. You have to sell the house. You have to go through that. And it's a big problem. Yep. But here's a question, taking it back to more of a spiritual implication here, because, you mentioned this quite a bit, that, you said money's a tool. It's not the problem itself. We don't want money to get that image. But, how can believers shift their mindset from seeing money as security to seeing it as a resource for eternal impact?
Right. Again, I think we're illustrating it really well, but we're having a conscious discussion around something where when people don't have a plan, that it goes off the rails. When you don't see money as a tool, right, then all of a sudden it takes on this weird kind of abstract persona, and it's really not. So just use it as a hammer. I mean, if we saw a hammer, we wouldn't all of a sudden glorify a hammer or be afraid to talk about a hammer or what a hammer does.
Right.
Right. You use a hammer, you talk about a hammer, you're like, hand me the hammer. Right.
Right.
That's the way you need to approach money. When money becomes, a God, becomes a source in your life where that's the love of money, is the root of all kinds of evil.
Yeah.
Right? There's all different forms of evil, and money can usually well up in that way. So you need to really kind of make a mind shift and a mindset that this is a tool, and we're going to talk about the tool and how to use the tool. And then, of course, the words of Jesus in Luke 16 there, the world is much better at that than we are. Somehow we get this wrong.
Yeah.
And so the Lord wants us to be wise, and he gives that illustration of building relationships with people so that you can win them to Jesus Christ, and they'll be there in the end in eternity with you when your money is done.
And I think what you brought up too on Sunday, I think is so important, is the fact that we need to realize that God needs those resources too.
Yes.
And that we need to allocate those things for his service. And what better way, if you're part of Harbor Light and you've been going to Harbor Light for a while, what better way to do that than to allocate it to service of Harbor Light? We've been faithful for 40 some years.
Yeah, 48 years.
48 years. So, I mean, we've proven that we're not going to use your money to, to waste it, but we're going to use it for the kingdom. And so what better way to see a legacy go well beyond your years?
Yeah. There's this part of ministry that a lot of people over spiritualize, and they just need to take it down a couple of notches. Mm-hmm. There is a business portion to ministry.
Yeah.
There are salaries to pay, bills to pay, lights to keep on. All of those kind of things have to happen. Money makes ministry go around.
Yeah.
Right. You got to use it as a tool to move forward, and to be not afraid to talk about it in those kind of terms.
Yep.
And then people can, take off the spooky part of it and just get down to business and help with that. You're exactly right. Harbor Light has been a utilitarian church from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
We'll use whatever we need to get the job done. There's not usually a lot of flash and glitter to anything that we do. So it's money well invested into the kingdom.
Yeah.
But we have a track record of thousands of people that have come to faith in Jesus Christ. Their marriages have been put back together. People in ministry. We've traveled all around the world doing missions work. We have over 300 students downstairs in our hallway. Pictures of people that have graduated with a Bible-based education. So you just can't beat that stuff. Right. And you want to keep that going. Let's finance into the future the ministry of Harbor Light. And that would be a fabulous way to do.
And I think that's the conversations around, churches and taxes and all that stuff that's happening right now. I just had this 2 weeks ago. Somebody was, fired up about not specifically Harbor Light, but just this idea that, there are these people running around in jets and all this stuff. Folks, that is not 1% of the churches within America.
Right.
And if you are concerned about those things, as you should be, I think there is abuse that happens, but your local church is not doing that.
Right.
Your
not at
local
all.
church is housing people and feeding people and sharing the gospel with people and doing very practical things to make your community physically better and spiritually better. And so I think if you're concerned about how your money is being used, especially with legacies type stuff, you do come to a ministry like Harbor Light that has checks and balances and a history of accountability and those kinds of things. And I think that's where, you can kind of rest your head easy, is that there has been years and years of well stewarded, tithes and offerings. And I think there's just so much that gets weird for people, I think, when you start talking about money in church and especially kind of the legacy giving type stuff. But that's where you can go. Are you a part of a congregation that knows how to do this well and has had a track record of doing it well?
I think that it's important for me to say this and everyone would be able to hear with my heart and mind. Our pastors and our people on staff should not be living in poverty, right?
Yeah.
We should pay them the most we can with what we have. And that's what we've tried to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And there's this mentality out there that pastors should be poor. That's not even biblical. I can give you multiple verses that would counteract that. So we're going to do the best we can with what we have.
Yeah.
There's not any waste going on here. No one's sitting on a golden toilet.
No, we have not. We have days, but that's about it. That's a whole nother subject. Yeah. Anyways, I think that, God blesses those fertile grounds that are being used and growing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what that's sort of a test for me to see how a ministry is actually operating well, is when you see that, the money that's going into it is actually reaping benefits of an eternal worth, not necessarily the bells and whistles and that kind of stuff. Right. I mean, if you got a ministry that's spending all their money on that kind of stuff, I'd be kind of cautious. But if you got a ministry that's spending money on doing things for the kingdom, like bringing people to the kingdom, helping people in need, all the things that Jesus said, these are the things I'm looking for, then you found a place here at Harbor Light.
Yep.
I mean, you see it.
And we work really hard at transparency.
Yes.
And then there's the evidence. The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
Look around and see where the waste is. There's just not happening.
No. And it is just so, again, I'm just so thankful when Jesus says, the hope of the world, right, is the church. It is his bride. And you think about the local church. Think about, listener, think about the churches in your community that are having an impact. And that is where you should be sowing seed, right? You should be thinking about, the Nehemiah Project, getting their socks blessed off. And then that will be a legacy in and of itself of just serving the homeless population within Northern Michigan for years and years and years to come.
Yeah.
Your churches should be a part of those kinds of things. And so when you see that sort of proof, I think that gives you the green light to go, you can rest easy in this. Is this funding things in your local communities that are having impact?
And we are trendsetters. I mean, think of all the programs and ministries we've started from here, like the Nehemiah Project, Man of Food Project,
right? Pregnancy Resource Center,
Right to Life. Now it's the Haven. Yeah. We've been a part of so many things in this community. Either we were the ones that initiated it, or we were part of the ground floor, and that just says that we're not just sitting on our hands. Covering certain things that we think are special to us or that we want to highlight ourselves. But we're always looking for new opportunities to grow more fields, to make more things happen.
Yep.
I ask this question from time to time, do you consider yourself a missionary? And the answer should be yes. I'm the missionary that lives on North Conway Road. Harbor Light is the mission church that is right here in Harbor Springs, Petoskey area. Our first strategic responsibility is right here locally. And then as the ripples of the pond go out further, then we move out further in our influence and impact. But we are responsible for Northern Michigan right here.
Yeah.
And that's such a good flag to plant, PG. I remember early on in my time here at Harbor Light, you saying, asking the question of the staff of, if Harbor Light disappeared tomorrow, what would the community miss?
Right.
And that's such a good perspective to have. And it's not, it is outward focused. It is a sense of ownership of the issues in your area, not we just need more comfy seats or better air conditioning units or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
Right.
I mean, you come here long enough and you watch what's going on here and you realize soon enough what the focus is, what the mission is. It doesn't take very long to figure that out.
Right.
Yeah, you will find it.
One of the things
simple.
that people may not know this that are listening, that we do all of our staff meetings with a high five. So we're giving attaboys and accolades to people that are sitting around the table and or connected to the Harbor Light Ministry. And Pastor Ted got a big one this last meeting because he had 3 young people on the stage helping out with the worship team, and that is fabulous and beautiful. And we're passing on. I remember reading a Lutheran magazine years ago, and they were basically saying in their own magazine, we are dying and we better change things. And, you never want to change the message, but you always want to change the method. And, Pastor Ted's done a good job of getting those young people involved, and we're now passing on the torch to the next generation who's going to be able to take the church further and faster and more effective than what.
I mean, and we see Chelsea. She's always highlighting or moving in new teens into ministry and leadership. I mean, those things are so key. And the thing that's amazing in my department with the small groups is a lot of the small groups that are starting are people with kids. They want to hang out with other families with kids. And so they're the ones that are mainly the largest, fastest ones that are growing is those groups like that. And which is good because, the churches that don't have that kind of growth happening with the young, they're going to die, like that Lutheran magazine probably brought up.
Sure.
And you see them closing their doors because they don't have anybody to take over the ministry or their opportunity. That's part of the legacy too, but that takes investment, right? It doesn't just happen by osmosis, just by saying, well, if they show up to church, then they'll just take it over naturally. But there's an actual financial investment that needs to happen where we put into that future. We create those programs, or we create those internships we talked about in the staff meeting, those things that happen with those people to make them feel like they need to be a part of it, teach them how to do what the work needs to be done so that they can take over.
Right.
We're learning that in our economy, right? The jobs that need it most are the ones that are the jobs like the people that know a craft, not the people that sit behind a screen. It's the people that know how to make stuff. And those are the people that are like, come on, we need them in here because these industries are dying. We don't want that to happen in the ministry. We want people to know what they're doing so that we can move them into those directions.
I have a question that I'd like to pose towards you guys. So one of the points that we made is that people who have legacy thinking or live these legacy lives, they understand what sacrifice means, right? So they're willing to sacrifice now for what could be in the future. And I put this one point up, and it was fun for me to wrestle with it as I was preparing. It was this subpoint that says people with a legacy life, their successes are determined by what they're willing to give up. And when I first read that and thought through it, I was a little bit uncomfortable. But as I thought about it, look at the life of Jesus. Okay, he's the ultimate in everything, right? He was willing to give up his life. He gave up, didn't even get married, didn't have kids. It was all for this one thing, and it was for our salvation. So there's a connection between the size of the sacrifice and the size of the result. We understand it in the world of business, right? Big risk, big results, big rewards, right? Or big losses too, right?
Yeah.
So, the bigger the investment, the bigger the return. And I think the bigger sacrifice, the bigger thing that God's able to do with it. What do you guys think about that? How do you think people in our congregation could put this into play, and or how have you guys personally, because I know you both have sacrificed for ministry?
Yeah. Well, I think, at least for me, I look at my entire time of ministry, and, I guess the sacrifice was the mission of being what God called me to be, and my wife, the same thing. And then we brought our family into it. So yeah, you do kind of put that stuff up there, but at the end of the day, you're like, why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing this for the greater good of the kingdom, because this is what God called me to do. And I think, people that are looking at that in their own life, maybe like being a part of a legacy minded mission, we look at everything that we have in this world. We have so much, and I think that's the interesting thing, is the lie of the devil is to tell you that you don't have enough, that you need more, and that if you don't have this, then you're really not having a good quality of life. And that's the lie that we have to constantly keep fighting against and sanitize the community about, because that is not true. The truth is we have probably more than enough, and we have everything we ever possibly could need. And so you have to really, I always tell people when they get in that mindset, is pray about it. Look at what God's given you. Start counting the blessings, as the song says, name them one by one, and realize God has done so many things for you. What more do you need? So then you look at the excess that you have, the things that you would normally spend your money on because of trying to keep up with the Joneses or whatever it is. Start praying about how God can use that in that other area of ministry or something like that. And that mindset becomes so much better for you, because when you start realizing that God can use you in that area, that's more exciting than anything else.
So one of the things that, so I'm in a men's group that meets in the evenings once a month or so. And I was with a man that was in this group, and he went to a super focused business school, right? It wasn't anything else other than learning how to be a business leader and in an entrepreneurial thing. So he's like surrounded with people that are super hyper focused on this area. He just went to his 25th class reunion. And so now he's hanging out with people that are running $52 billion companies. Okay. Yeah. And he has at one time been very, very successful. But then the Lord called him out of that because he found himself with an empty life and an empty marriage and, a garage full of stuff that he wasn't having any fun with. And then he went to this reunion a little bit nervous and a little kind of like, what's it called when you feel a little sensitive towards the people around you? Emotional. Yeah. But he sat down, and then a week later he got a call from one of the guys that's most successful. And that guy's like, your story was the best story. You've checked out of this hyper focused, super make money, and you look content and happy, and your marriage is beautiful, and I wish I had what you have. That is cool. Something that is tangible. Yes. That sometimes gets overlooked. Yeah. Because I see in you a joy, and I see in you a peace, and I see in you a fulfillment that the many people that are very successful in the world don't have. Yeah. Right. And so maybe you've sacrificed, a 401k that might be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars right now, but you might be the most miserable person going. Yeah. And we all know people that are very, very successful in the world's eyes, and they have lots of money in the bank, and their kids are a wreck, and they're hooked on drugs, and just terrible things that are going on. I wouldn't pass that up for it.
What does Jesus say? If you gain the whole world but lose your soul.
Right. Exactly.
That's always been something in the back of my mind. It was interesting. I was reading an article. I think it was out of Forbes, because I get like Google News, and they said that they have found out through a 10-year study that the average billionaire and millionaire said that they felt the best when they made their first $100,000. after that, nothing changed. Like no matter how many more millions they made,
That's interesting.
they just nothing really got them excited anymore. It was that first $100,000. And so the whole crux of the article is, what does that say about all these wealthy people? Like, really, what have they gained by being millionaires and billionaires? They haven't gained anything, because really the amazing rush was for that first 100,000, and that's over now. Now they don't. Yeah.
So when the Ivar's party store went out of business down the street here, I got their giant lotto sign, lit up lotto sign.
Yeah.
They gave it to me, and I brought it, and I did a message, and I did a whole study on people who win the lotto or the Powerball or whatever. The numbers are off the chart on how unhappy and unfulfilled and their life went in the crapper after they won buttloads of money.
I totally believe that.
And all of us dream about, hitting the big Powerball kind of thing and being able to do great things, but the numbers wouldn't back up your fulfillment and satisfaction.
No. Well, because, people come out of the woodwork.
Exactly.
Like you said,
they want your money.
They want your money. Friends that you never thought you had before are there. And you buy all this stuff, and then, what is it worth, And
you find it empty, and then you got to keep getting more and more exotic to try to find that thrill again.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you're buying, a cigar that Lincoln smoked, way back. And, paying way too much money for it just to kind of get some kind of a thrill.
Right. Was it Brewster's Millions? Remember that movie back in the day?
Yeah.
That was sort of the idea. Yeah.
It was a great idea.
Like, give him all the money, see what happens. And at the end of the day,
he has to spend it all.
He has to spend it all. And at the end of it, he's like, he doesn't even care. Oh, you got to watch
it. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
He gets this buttload of money.
Yeah.
He has to spend it all, and he can't show any profit or anything at the end of it.
Yeah.
And then his rich uncle, at the end, the lesson sinks in that this can't.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to have anything to do with money. And then he inherits a whole bunch more because now he's got his priorities right.
Right, yeah.
It was a great
It's a great movie. It's like, it was like ripped right out of the Bible. It's like a perfect story. But the whole point, it's just like that. And I think you could win all this money or whatever. It's funny because I was in the little store by me, and somebody had won $100 on a scratch off. And they were so excited. And so the guy, he says, Jeffy, he goes, so what are you going to spend the $100 on? And the guy says,
More lotto tickets.
Yeah, that's what he said. I'm going to buy more lotto tickets. And he's like, oh, that was worth it.
Investment right there.
And that was their mindset. And I'm thinking, and I watch these people come in, that are buying these lotto tickets. They're not happy. I mean, it's just like, well, maybe I'll win this week, maybe I won't. And then they spend ungodly amounts of money on lotto ticket scratch offs and all this stuff. And I'm just standing there going, man, what a waste of time and resources. And, and you're not going to win. Most of them win like $5 and they're like excited about it. But I don't know. But, the kingdom mindset, though, we get into that, too, as Christians, because we may not be playing the lotto, but we're looking for those lotto moments in our journey, and we're waiting for those things to happen. And when they do happen, we don't find much joy in it.
You know, I think it's the. I was thinking about when you guys are talking about when you get over the speed bump of comparison of going, I'm not going to get to take the vacation if I'm kingdom mindseted, or I'm not going to maybe get the brand new truck if I'm kingdom mindseted. And I look, can I just confess some fellas? I have truck envy right now. I'm driving around Harbor like, oh man, these guys got some trucks.
Subaru.
Yeah, right. But the thing that you come away with very quickly is you realize, again, it's a speed bump. It's not something you're going to hang out on forever. I know that I have a friend in Uganda named Moses, who I'm going to see in heaven one day. And I made a real connection with him, right? Yeah. Or I was a part of a solution to someone who didn't have reading glasses, or got deworming medicine, and major real life stuff. And so I didn't get to go to the Cayman Islands.
Right.
I didn't get to do that, or I didn't get to have the boat or whatever, but I am a part of things that can have significance. And when, I always think about this, when Jesus says he's come to give life and life in abundance, that abundance is in such drastic contrast to our flesh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So when we think about giving, and when we think about what it means to have a legacy within our finances and within our family, it is with a mind of abundance that Jesus gets to define and not ourselves. And again, I always say it, Jesus will ruin your life in the best way possible.
Yeah.
And in this way too, because you're just going to get to be a part of some great, great things. And we have stories of that. You shared that in staff, PG, about Harbor Light's always kind of been a blue collar place, but there's been some folks who've been around right now who do have a little more finances, and seeing them not feel like they're not coming to country club church.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're arm in arm with folks who have lived some life in this world. And that is pretty fun.
Yeah.
That is pretty fun. I mean, I think of a specific story in our congregation of a couple who came here, and it was opulence, and now it is serving on all kinds of boards and helping folks, who are homeless, and, just kind of some crazy eternal significant type meaning stuff. And that, you're not trading that once you get a taste of it.
I think I've always told people, get in our congregation, sit there and try to figure out who's got the money.
Yeah.
You never know.
Right.
Unless you know their last name or know their association with whatever business they're part of. You can't.
Right.
There's no way. I mean, you could be the most wealthiest person sitting in our congregation, the person that's just barely making it from paycheck to paycheck. You would never know the difference.
Right.
And I think that's always been sort of the secret sauce in our congregation, how it works. You never know. But until we start giving, and then you're like, holy cow, where did that money come from, or whatever.
Sure.
But it is amazing to me. And I love that about our church, because I love the fact that people that have the money don't flaunt it. And the people that are here that are needing the money, they don't beg and, they're not sitting out there with a sign saying, give me, $100 so I can pay my bills or whatever. But we just kind of find a way to be together. And it just reminds me of the early church. I mean, that's the way the early church was. I mean, we came together no matter what our backgrounds were, and we worshiped together as though we were one mind, one heart. It didn't really matter. And if there was a need, we took care of it. If it wasn't, no big deal. Nobody really talked about any of that stuff. That's one thing that's great. And I think that does build towards a legacy mindset too, because we don't have money as the focus. We have the goal in mind. And I think when the goal is in mind, then we look at everything else as a resource that we pull together. And so when it's a resource, it has a lot less elevated feeling to the group than it did before, and I think that's important because we're not raising money for something to change within the atmosphere of the worship center or whatever it is that we're trying to do. It's all about what do we do to make it a resource to make it go and help someone. And I think that is important. That changes the whole atmosphere of a group.
And I think too, something you said, Pastor Gary, at the beginning was you can be committed to, you can know that Harbor Light is committed to a biblical centered, gospel based, Holy Spirit led ministry. And so, part of the background that I come out of is when I hear, endowment, I get very scared. And so that's some of my church hurt, right? Because it's these well-meaning people in the early 1900s who loved their church. The church was a beacon in their community. They were preaching the gospel, and they left a chunk of cash to that church. Well, 100 years later, guess what? Liberalism and social gospel, whatever nonsense has come into the congregation. They don't even know if Jesus was a real guy, but they're going to high five him on the way out of the door, sort of thing. And the Bible is not necessarily fully true. And they've just gone so far out into left field, and they don't have congregations that are giving. And so this is research we see within America. Congregations that are giving are Bible-based churches. They're seeing salvations, and they're seeing the spiritual gifts used. These congregations don't have people who are tithing, but they have an endowment from 100 years ago, and that church is able to sit on it and hire the professor, pastor who comes in with liberal agenda. That is not the commitment to Harbor Light. Harbor Light is as the commitment to stay directly focused on Scripture. And has accountability within that. And so that was a big one for me, is kind of some of my church nonsense that I've gone through of going, I can trust this place because I trust the leadership and I trust the guardrails that they put up around it. And so knowing we don't want a church that we don't have a church that ties, right? We want a church that ties and is healthy that way. And this legacy type giving we're talking about really does just help us do those extra things that only just further the kingdom and the impact that we can have.
That's a good point. Pastor Gary, any last thoughts on this?
I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed this series. It was a lot of fun.
It's good.
And I'm looking forward to the one that's coming up this weekend as we start the brand new series, The Biggest Lie in the History of Christianity. We're starting our small group campaign. So reach out to Pastor Alex.
So what's the lie?
You got to find out the lie.
When do we get to figure that out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's about holiness. It's about the fact that we make holiness something that is beyond our reach. And biblically, it should be a part of our everyday process of growing in the faith. And so what does that look like? What does that sound like for us? And so this book that we're talking about with Matthew Kelly gets into how do we make that practical? How do we take this, ethereal thought of holiness? How do we bring it down to where it makes perfect sense for us to use it on an everyday basis? So
it's good.
I think it's good. I will say that people have already started to read the book, and some people have actually read through it already, and they come back to me and they're like, you know what? I need to hear this.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to take off well, and I think most people are getting into it.
It's exciting.
So we're going to be going into this study. Was it 5 weeks? We're doing a 5-week series. 5-week series on this, and so it'd be really good. We encourage you to come on out because I think it is something that we need to discuss in church, and it's not something that's new to us here. I mean, we've talked about it before, but it is something that we need to bring up again for those that may have thought it was beyond their reach. So we'll get into that. Well, that's it for us. Thanks for being here with our podcast. We're getting closer and closer every day to getting back streaming. We just we had so many changes at one time.
Yep.
It was just ridiculous.
Right,
yeah, and actually we got somebody coming in working on it after this. But it is kind of an interesting thing because we're going to a green screen instead of a decorated scene, and so we could be doing different things in here now. So it'll be a lot of fun. Well, we'll see you next week. Talk to you later.
We want you to know, find, discover, change with us. More podcast ending transmission now.